And what we decided we would do is have all of our KPIs and our email done Friday morning before this meeting at 9, so that A, we have a tight deadline, and that everybody knows, boom, this is the moment I have to get it done. And B, so if there are any glaring issues, either awesome or not awesome, in those emails or in those KPIs, we can all address it as a team, because I think we've all convinced ourselves that working together like this is really beneficial for all of us. So any help we can offer each other based on those emails, based on the spreadsheets, is good stuff. So Todd, just want to make sure you know that pursuant to our conversation on Tuesday that you had with all of us, and your frustration with our spreadsheet filling out and all that kind of thing, we're really all dedicated to making this happen, getting it done, using the numbers not as whips, but as carrots, and really being honest about what we're doing. So I think we're going to turn a corner with that, Todd. That's the commitment we're all going to make, because we know the track and measure is the way to get this done. Rick, are you on? Is that you, Rick, or not?
I just got a text that said I'm still not in. Is anyone else?
I guess I'll invite him one more time. Dude, check your email. I've sent you an email invite. Okay. So, but what we want to do today, Todd, is make sure that all of us understand how to gather those bigger right column numbers. Okay. One thing for us to be filling out our weekly KPIs about appointments and calls and hours of power, that we can all manage, and that we can do pretty well. But I think that we're still not filling in the right side, the big picture KPIs, in part because it's a new system. The DASH system is new to all of us, even though it's been around for a few months, but it still is it's a 7-page report we have to filter through. And it just feels a little bit dense sometimes. And I'll be honest with everybody right now, as much as I love numbers and looking at MLS sheets and everything, Jennifer's pretty dang smart with this stuff. It took us a while to parse through all the numbers and get what we were after. And we're not even sure we got what we're after. So, there's a learning curve with this sort of thing, with accessing these numbers and being in a new platform like this. So we all need to put our frustrations aside and just plow through it and get good at this, so that it doesn't become a chore every time. Instead, it just becomes, oh, look at our great numbers. Our PPPs keep improving, and that's what we want to be doing with this. Okay, there's my preamble, and all of you know that I don't do anything with the preamble anymore. So, here we go. Teresa, smile. Thank you. Okay, so I'm going to share my screen and get to the KPI sheets. Does that sound okay with everybody? So that we can look at this, and we're going to look at Sun Valley's, and I'm going to raise a couple of issues. And Teresa, this is where you probably should unmute. And Ashley, your right ear is awesome. It's really, oh, there we go. Because there are a couple of questions that I have about really what should be in these boxes. So I want to go over those and make sure that that everybody, sorry, right here. Okay, you should see, give me a thumbs up if you're seeing my, my KPIs. Okay, good. Okay, so this I think is the 2018 one, right? Make sure we're all on 2018. This has both 2017 and 2018, I think, as you see the title up there.
No,
sorry?
there is one that is specific to 2018, and the title is 2018 CBDP, CBC, CP, Manager KPIs.
Hey, Teresa, could you maybe just unshare all of the ones that are from previous times, so that there's no confusion?
So am I on the wrong one?
Yes, you are.
And if you remember, I created the 2018 from our last leadership one, and I shared it with all of you so that you had a full 2018 to go off of based on what you wanted. So I will get rid of that one from a share standpoint.
Okay, so I probably need to go find the other, well.
So Mark and Jeff are.
It's the same exact name. It just starts with the 2018 in your drive.
Okay. (2018), okay, we'll go here. Okay, so, well, that's obviously my mistake. I was filling out the 2017, so let's just, as we say, not get frustrated and plow through. That's the point of this, is to make sure we're all doing it right. Yes, ma'am.
So just so you know, when I did create the 2018 grids, anything that was in 2017 that had been put in there to start with for January was carried over. So none of the data was lost because everybody was originally using that one, and we just had put 2018 at top, and we decided we wanted to separate it. So if you had put data in that one for 2018, it got moved over to your 2018 grid. The problem you're going to have right now is February. You're going to miss a couple of weeks because this was created in the beginning of the month.
Right. So what I'm going to do after this call, I'm not going to bore everybody. I'm going to go in and fill in these pieces based on my 2017 one that I was filling out, and get all this up to date. But let's start up at the top here, which is your goals. Are they all in here? For me, you know, I want 3 hours of power a week, which in a month, 13, I don't know where that comes from, I guess 5 weeks. So that should be 36. 36 times 4 is 156. I'll get all these numbers set up. I did it recently in the other one, so I apologize for this awkwardness. Well, shoot.
Why don't you jump into junctions? We've got it almost completely full. I'm not sure if the most recent February stuff on the right-hand side is done yet. I haven't checked with Carrie on that this morning, but it's up to, you know, honestly, there's nothing for her to put in other than market share and PPP and that kind of stuff. We did get somebody sign up this week, but they're not actually going to officially sign up till March 2nd, so I didn't bother to put them in on that side or mention it to Carrie. But we've got the rest of it.
Okay, so Mark, since you and Keith and Carrie have got a better pattern probably than any of us, and I don't mean to speak ill of anyone, but do you want to just walk us through this right side here? I can stop sharing and you can share, so you can highlight as you go. How about we do that?
I don't know if I trust myself.
I'm going to stop sharing. You share your screen.
Let me get it open here, because I did it on my phone this morning from home, so I don't have it on my screen at the moment.
Okay.
The right garage.
Anybody else looking at the whiteboard behind Mark's head and notice that there's like literally nothing on the done side? One thing.
But on the doing, I did cross out world peace and change that to buy a hollow volcano for an evil layer. So, I don't feel like anything's ever done. I feel bad putting things over there. Where the heck did it go? Oh, come on.
Really
Why don't you just go through yours since you've already got it up there? Because for some reason it's always right there at the top, and now I go in there and try to do this. It's not there.
Okay. So we're looking at yours. Okay.
Yep.
So let's walk through this. We talked a little bit maybe last week or the week before, MDs, about what we have to do weekly and what we have to do monthly, because especially in the resort markets, like market share is not going to change all that much on a week-to-week basis. But if we're looking at these 6 lines here, gross recruiting number.
Yep.
These are our goals. And so the left side was our KPIs, our leading stuff. This is the things that we want to actually be bringing in. So you've got a gross of 3 agents per month, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
The idea is that we'll probably, there's a good chance we can lose one of them. Sorry.
Right, but when we talk about gross, you're talking about the people you bring in. Let's say you lose 25 people. Don't worry about that right now, but you want to bring in 3 new people a month, right?
Hey, look what I found.
No one told me.
So that's 9 a quarter, and that's 36 a year, right?
Yep.
Okay, so I'm filling this stuff in. So now the gross recruiting LTM GCI, again, on a monthly basis, I don't think we need to break it down by week. Correct me if I'm wrong, Teresa or Todd, but should we be doing this by week?
I don't even know that month is all that valid. It's really the quarter. I mean, because, you know, when we had like Julie leave, I mean, that was a huge negative, but we had Seacrest come back, which kind of almost negated that.
Right. Hold on a second, though, Mark. We're talking about gross here, which is
yeah.
what we want to bring in regardless of what we're losing. Okay. So if you want to bring in 90,000 GCI per month in a quarter, that's 270. Please, someone tell me if I'm getting this wrong, because I'm just trying to make this happen as you go. 270, and you multiply that by 4, that's 1080, I think, for the year.
Okay.
Okay. All right. Now we get to the net, which is how many did you bring in, then how many did you lose? So if your goal, and this is probably where you need to be looking at your budget, because your budget is also tied to how many people you brought in and your GCI and such. But if you want to bring in 3 per month, but what is your net? Do you plan on losing 1 a month? I mean, so is your net goal 2 additional agents?
I feel like that's unrealistic for us to expect to lose 1 a month. 1 a quarter, yes, but if we're losing 1 a month, that's a lot. Unless we're cutting them off, that's a different story.
So if we do 2.5, and you can do points in this, I know it doesn't make sense, but because it's a multiplication thing and an aggregate, it actually works out. So in a quarter, you would want to essentially gain, 7? So let's do 2.33. You'd want to gain 7 agents net per quarter, which would give you 28 total for the year. Is that about what you were thinking?
Yeah, it's actually, I want to say 24 was actually the number we were shooting for. So really we're working off of our year goal and backwards from there, not necessarily a month goal and up. But,
right.
You know, so that's why we had 6 in there, because the quarter we're looking at 6. You know,
Your
the
net
objective.
goal, yeah,
What's
your
that?
net goal needs to be what's on your comp plan. Your net
Yeah.
goal.
Well, and so that's the conversation I had with Keith, because he put in that some different stuff in here, and so the net on the comp plan, I believe, is 24, if I remember correctly, for the year.
I think it depends on you as individuals. I mean, some people look at their goals and they're like, "Hey, that is an absolute no excuse. I'm going to make it every single time." While others, you know, they want it to be slightly out of reach. So let us not be the ones that dictate what you're going to put in there. I think what Teresa's saying is certainly don't ever let your goal be less than what
for
you
sure
do to get paid, right? But
absolutely.
But, you know, if shooting for 7 helps you make sure that you get to 6 every time, and that makes you feel good, then do your thing.
Okay. Yeah, I mean that's like the minimum bar, right? That 6 number for us, because that is what we're looking at for gain, is 24. So I mean, yeah, if we wanted to put 9 in there, I mean, whatever, you know, it just as long as it's above, that makes total sense to me.
Okay, so, and I don't mind sitting here doing this. You can change it if you and Keith disagree, but
Sure.
Are these numbers looking right? So your gross, you want to bring in 3 new agents a month, 9 per quarter, 36 for the year, with the understanding you're probably going to lose someone because that's the way real estate is. So the net then becomes 24 age. You'll have grown by 24 agents by the end of the year. Is that commensurate with what you guys had talked about?
Yep.
24? Okay, excellent. This is where Jennifer and I really started to have to scratch our heads when we were doing this yesterday, is the net recruiting GCI. That number, I don't know. Teresa or Todd, can you walk us through how that number should be arrived at? Is it part of our, is it in our budgets?
No, I mean, I think I just used some kind of an average per person company, or per person GCI. It's not company dollar. per person GCI.
Okay.
But if you, again, if you go back to your comp plans, in line with what Teresa was saying, is that if it says, you're recruiting X number of people and a minimum of $200,000 in GCI a quarter, then that's how I would come up with it.
Okay. So this number requires us looking at a couple of different things, MDs and OMs. So, we'll want to look at the comp plans, look at the budgets you set up, and see what the average GCI of folks you've been bringing in is. And then if your net recruiting goal is 2, whatever the average GCI is, multiplied by 2 and put that in there, and then, multiply by 3 there and 4 there. That's how you get those numbers.
Well, and then for simplicity's sake, and tell me if I'm wrong on this, Teresa and Todd, because when we were originally talking about the comp plans, you were saying, if we didn't have numbers, we'd run off 2.5% of their volume. And so I've told Carrie to just do 2.5, just to keep our numbers, the same, right?
Yeah.
Rather than, have her digging through, having to go through, in some cases, you get an agent with 4 or 5 transactions, it's no big deal, but you get some of these guys with 40, 50 transactions. I mean, it's a lot to actually go through. So
I think you're looking for averages. If I just do a quick and dirty math from 2017, it looks to be about $70,000 per person in GCI. So I would probably just use that. It just makes it easier.
So would you then put 140 here, Todd? If you're talking 70 is the average and we're trying to net 2, so 140?
Correct.
Okay, so multiply that by 3, and that's 420. Settle down, Colorado. Multiply that by 4, that's 168. Oh, that'd be nice. 60. Okay, all right. So, and again, NOMs, look at what your average agent GCI is, and then whatever you want to recruit net per month, just multiply that. What's that?
Let me stop you for 1 second. So as I'm looking at that, right? Sorry, the gross recruiting number is smaller than the net recruiting number, which doesn't make sense, does it?
Well, it doesn't, except for the fact that my thought about that is a lot of times we're bringing in brand new agents. Like I've recruited 3 people, and or 3 people, and 2 of them have no business, right?
Yeah,
they're new. So does it make sense that the gross might be lower? I don't know.
I think it'd be the exact opposite, because as you bring them in, they have nothing.
Opposite.
So we're not estimating what they could do.
Yeah.
Oh.
I think I did the math wrong. I think you've got to use this number up here, and I don't know where this $90,000 per month came from.
I'm not. That's something Keith put in there, and I think it was just going for a little overshoot of what we needed to do.
Well, doesn't it come from? Yeah, I don't know.
Well, these are goals. These are not actuals, right? So
Yeah.
I guess the question would be, when you guys are out, you're going to recruit 3 people. Are you thinking that the average is going to be that they're $1 million producers, or are you thinking that their average is going to be less than that?
Well, our target is people between 2 to 4 million in production.
Okay, so then the goal would have to change, because even if you use the 2, that's 60 per. So that would make this 180,000, right? You follow me?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oops. Come on, Conklin. Right. And so then you do the math that way. Then this would be something less, right?
Yeah.
Probably like 120.
Correct. 120.
$360.
So will you walk through, we have bad reception here. Will you walk through quickly how you come to that part? So that's what we're projecting. I'm sorry, for the gross recruiting. So that's the projection. So like I mentioned yesterday, we just brought on 3 new, but they're all brand spanking new, so they don't come with any money. So this is what we're hoping that they do per year.
No, this is just the goal of, if you take the people that you recruit and you recruit 10 people, some of them are going to be brand new, some of them are going to be experienced. What's the average going to be, right?
Okay.
And so what they're saying is that their target are these $2 to $5 million producers. Well, let's say they recruit, one brand new person, one person that's almost brand new, and one person that's experienced. Their average total, their average be 60,000
Okay.
GCI.
All right. Thank you.
Okay. So now ideally this table does not have formulas in it, because ideally, the month would just populate the quarter and the year, but we're all doing this by hand, which is probably fine for now. Maybe if you want to use formulas, go ahead, but we're just doing this by hand right now. So 360 times 4 is 1440 in that next one, Todd.
Hold on 1 second.
Yeah. Okay. So those four rows there, folks, are based on your office's goals. You can't just copy this. It's based on how many agents you want. Like in Sun Valley, we want to net 12 agents in 2018. So with a gross probably of 15, because we'll probably lose 3. So we figure our numbers based on what our goal was, and it's different for every office. So this is not just standard. Everybody can fill it in the same. So take a little time.
Those next 2 on the goals are where I really get, those don't make any sense to me to break down to that level of month and quarter.
The market share?
Yeah, market share and PPP. I mean, I guess PPP per month on average, yeah, but it's just one of those things, the bigger picture item than you can really break down as a monthly goal, right? To me,
what's your annual goal per person?
Well, so the annual goal, I think Keith said 17 for
he said 17 or 18 per agent. Yeah.
So. And then market share, I don't recall what he had said. I mean, we finished last year at 15. I would say something more like 18, 19 would be at the rate that we're going. As of right now, we're still right about 15, even though we're cranking. So
you want to be at what at the end? 15, you say?
For market share,
yes.
I'd say 18.
18.
I think a reasonable thing.
I hope everybody can see what Todd's doing is working backwards, which a lot of times this sort of thing is a more effective way than working forward. So what's your big picture goal? And then you can just break it down by division as opposed to doing the addition. So if you're at 18%, this isn't an aggregate number. So your quarter, you want to be at 18% from the get-go, right?
Basically, yeah. That's going to go up and go down, but so right now we're at 15. If we really rock it in April or whatever and gain some ground on some of the people around us, then we could easily get up to 20 or something. Then,
right.
That one's a constantly moving target. But
yeah. So these two cells probably don't have much of a purpose, a market share month and quarter goal, because we want to be 18% all the time, at least.
Sure.
Right? We can go ahead
that's the way I think about it.
Yeah.
But I see what you're saying on the working backwards. So say if you didn't want to stay at 18% the whole time, or if we use the number 36, then you just divide and by 4 and blah, blah. Okay,
and
for
by
the
3.
person here.
Yeah. Okay, so let's say by the end of the day, everybody, can we do that this box of goals that Todd has just filled out is filled out for all of our offices, and whether it's 100% correct, let's just get it in there so we have something to work with, because we can't say the dish doesn't taste good if we haven't made it, right? So can we put some time today into getting that done?
Love the analogies every time, Derek.
Well, they're all for you, Liz.
Oh, thank you. Serve it up.
I've never made haggis, and I'm telling you, it probably doesn't taste
Yeah, I'm sure you have.
good.
Strike me as a haggis eater. Okay, so the next thing I think we struggled with a little bit is this big blue box, lagging KPIs. And Todd, just real quick, because I don't think all of us think of lagging the same way. What does lagging mean, and why do we call it that? Give us the 30 seconds.
It's just the real stuff. Like, I mean, if we do these action items, on the leading, like which are the phone calls, they are going to create what? So that's why that you've got your two different goal sets. You've got your leading actions, which is the red box on the left. You have the lagging goals, which are the ones on the right. And then in the blue boxes are, okay, well, what really did happen? So in January, I recruited one person. Awesome. And their gross,
3.
Yeah, for the month. Oh, yeah, I'm sorry. For the month was 3. It was $345,000 in GCI. We netted 2 people, right, for a net recruiting, which
That's 1.
doesn't make sense, right?
Well, because one's a negative. So we lost one person at $163,000.
Right.
So
But if your gross was 345, then your number would be, 150 or so, right?
Well, the gross recruiting is not, well, yeah, why? Okay, so I'm pointing at the screen like you guys can see what I'm doing. So yeah, week 1, we should have where's the negative? So the negative is in week 5. So week 1, we brought in 163 negative, and so for that top one should be a negative, that 153, 260. That's where the numbers get weird.
Yeah, but this is gross. So what you're saying is
Actually, that number should come out altogether then.
altogether it should be 0.
Yep.
What number?
So we brought in 2, so that's where it gets a little. So we brought in 1, didn't, and so our net is 0 because we brought in 1, lost 1. Now we have a net 0 for week 5, lost 153 in GCI, and so that's, yeah, that makes sense.
Okay.
So your I want to be really clear and even remedial here. You brought in $192,000 in GCI in
Yep.
January. Okay, but you lost 153.
Yep.
So what we actually brought in, you do 192 minus this, and that's 39,475.
Yep. That's our net. Yep.
Okay. Excellent.
If I'm not jumping in where I shouldn't, I mean, just let me know. But I have an example I would love for us to walk through because we lost Zach in January, but he has a closing that's official this month. Do you mind if we do that for a little paperwork?
We can look at Vales in a minute. Let's stay here.
Okay.
And get through everything, and then.
Well, and the way on that front, the way we did our math on that was, hey, here's when she left. Here's what she'd done based on our 2.5%, not, because we brought the other people in at 2.5, put her out at 2.5% of her volume number. And so we didn't do the math on anything she has still had closing out there. So in terms of this sheet, the way I think about it, that doesn't factor, but correct me if I'm wrong.
I don't know.
Teresa?
Hey, OMs, I'm not sure, and MDs for that matter. If you've seen what I've been doing here with these cells, there's a really handy function up here. If you just
turn them to
dollar sign, so we know what we're looking at. We don't need the decimal points because we don't need cents. But so if you click on a cell and you go up here, click dollar sign, it formats it to currency. And then if it's got decimal points, just decrease decimal places right here. It's really handy, and it clears things up and makes it a lot easier to see what the heck you're looking at. Okay, so just keep that in mind and try to just do that so that we're always looking at dollar signs and not, pennies and that sort of thing. Let's look at these last three rows here. Market share. Do we need this on a weekly basis, Todd? You know, especially like I say, in these resort markets, it's not going to be fluctuating that much, but I find this through my MLS. I don't think Dash does this. So does everyone know how to access their market share in their MLS?
Go ahead and do a quick 15-seconder.
Yeah.
Well, it's different in every MLS because you all have different systems. So that's something that we would have to do sort of one-on-one. I don't think we want to. I don't want to show you Sun Valley if I'm.
I think I got it, Teresa.
So
It's probably similar in people that are in Paragon, but if somebody's in something else, it's different.
Yeah. But the crucial one is this one, I think, right here. What was your market share for the month? 14.89. You can update that as much as you want, but I think doing week to week, I don't know. You guys can make that call, Todd and Teresa, but it seems a little bit
Too big picture for one week.
Well, I think and even Todd was saying just a minute ago that it's not a necessary number on a weekly basis. So I'm going to go in and put an NA in all the weeks, and then you'll just have the monthly for market share.
okay.
Perfect.
Awesome.
Okay.
And then, okay. This is PPP and sides. If we're doing this weekly, we're looking at the Dash weekly. Obviously, it's going to grow. It should grow every week because in week 1 of January, if your office does 4 deals and you have 30 agents, that's 0.07 or something sides. Or point whatever. So, and then week 2, you do a few more deals. Number of agents doesn't change, so your PPP should be growing. What I don't understand is this number here. How does the 0.05 happen?
That's probably just one that was not entered correctly on that front.
So, Teresa, is there a formula that happens here, or is this just looking at the Dash?
I think it should just be the month.
I think that's actually taking I think there is a formula in that one, and I think it's just taking the first week. It's just a formula.
Because I think in the, and I can go in and adjust the formulas. Originally, we were only doing PPPs monthly as well, so it was only picking up one cell. If we're doing them weekly now and we're going to aggregate, then I just have to put a formula in there to correct it, which is easy to do.
So what do we want to do? What do you want us to do?
You just want to do it by the month.
Just do it by the month.
So we'll do NA and all of those weekly PPPs.
Can do.
Okay. Thank you. And then PPP in sides, 12 months trailing. So the row that Teresa's changing here, the PPP in sides, is where we are for this calendar year for 2018. Fresh slate as of January 1. Okay. This next one, and please someone correct me if I don't know what I'm talking about, but this next one is what do the last 12 months look like? So we can compare how we're doing this calendar year to what we did from, as of right now, February of 2017 to now, correct?
Yeah, and you'll see that's down on February for us. We got entered down on week 1.
And that's Dash, right?
Correct. And
Yeah, and what we're doing to get those numbers so that everybody's aware.
We're going to go over that in a second.
Okay, perfect.
Okay, so PPP in sides, we don't need to do it weekly. We just do it at the end of the month. PPP in sides, 12 months trailing, I assume the same. Do it at the end of the month.
I think you kind of have to because of the way Dash does its reports.
Right. That's what Teresa said.
Okay.
Well, yeah,
So,
originally, I would think it would be at the end of the month, but.
Okay. So MDs and OMs, if you see an NA in a box, it doesn't mean go for that non-alcoholic beer. It means just leave that box alone, and we don't need to fill out anything for those. So it's basically like saying just do the months on those, and every other one though we do weeks. Okay. I'm going to scroll down just a bit and make sure you understand what these other columns are for. This next column is the quarter totals, and so in March and in June and in September, the totals for what you've done for the quarter will be here. Okay, so even though we're not in March yet, we've got 4 because that's what we've hit so far. Let me ask you this, TNT. When we get down here to June, will it be aggregate of the entire year, or will it just be for the quarter? It looks like it's just for the quarter.
You've got a quarter, and
Yeah.
you've got a year to date. So,
And so the year to date is way down here in December, and this will just keep adding everything that happens month by month by month.
correct.
So if you want to find out where you are in your year, you come all the way down to December, which is where the year totals are. And these all have formulas, it looks like. Yep. Okay. This is a dollar. So watch, I'm gonna click this dollar sign here. It's gonna turn into dollars. I don't need decimal points, so I'm gonna come and get rid of those two. This is dollar. Okay, and market share, that's awesome. If we have 2,900% of the market.
Totally killing it.
This should not be a formula. This should just be what?
That's really just going to, I mean, that's just going to report the last number that's on the sheet, I would think.
It should, yeah.
You know, week 4 or 5 or whatever of December.
No, it's got a.
It should be, and I don't know if you can make a formula for this because it's going to move all the time, but it should just be whatever the latest market share is. Like right now, if you're 14.4, it should populate that. But then the next month, it's got to populate this one. So I don't know, I don't know
if
Excel.
you can do that.
I'm sorry?
I don't know if you can do that in Excel.
That's why I think, for at least in terms of year end, that just needs to be whatever the year end is. And if we want to see our current market share, well, that's at the end of each month anyway. So
Yeah,
that's easy enough to look at.
right.
Yeah,
So,
I'll have to look at that
okay.
and see what.
And then PPP insides, that formula should be able to, well, it's going to add the quarterly PPP insides, and this one should add the quarterly PP LTMs. So those formulas should exist. The only one that needs to change then, T, is this.
Yep.
So we'll get rid of all that formula, and I don't even know what that's drawn from. Oh, that's the quarterly. Okay. So the market share is the tough one to figure out. We can't really use a formula. So what the hell is all this?
I was just wondering, like, oh God, we haven't filled that out.
What's this way down here?
It's 19. I don't know.
That's
Oh,
2017.
it's 2017.
Okay. So don't go below December 2018 unless you want to have some heart palpitations.
No, and I kept 2017 there so that you had everything on one sheet.
Yeah, that's awesome.
So, and if it's blank, that's all on you, not me.
Okay. All right. So that was a lot of stuff. Hi, Carrie, is that you?
She's hiding in there.
Yeah. So that was a lot of stuff. This is being recorded, and probably OMs we might want to watch this a couple of times. So that's a lot of stuff, but we're trying to clean it up and make the formulas easier. And honest to goodness, it's just like playing a piano piece. If you only do it every month, it's going to be a tough piece to play. That's just all there is to it. So we got to get fluent at this by practicing it and getting through the frustration of the growing pains of these numbers and everything, and just figure out a way to make it happen. Jennifer and I have set up a time every week. It's during our Thursday 11:30 sit down and powwow that we're going to do these things. And the power of two doing this, I think, unless it's Alan and Lisa, because I think the power of one there is much stronger, but the power of two is really going to allow you to push through this and not get super frustrated, like you heard in my voice a little bit. We just got to push through that.
So
Okay.
I got a question. What week are we on? Like February started on Wednesday. It's going to end next week on Wednesday, and March starts on Thursday. When is week 1 and when is week 4? Which week are we on now, currently?
Week 3 and
When you're
next
filling it in
week 4.
today, are we on week 3 or week 4?
We're in week 4.
Today. So today will be week 4.
We're starting week 4. Like next week is week 4.
Well, that's
Next
why.
week, okay,
That's
so
why
we're-
I'm asking. Okay.
So
Yeah,
how
I
do
just
you-
filled in week 3.
How do you deal with end of the month that splits the week? Do you put it in the previous?
You just
current
close the
month?
office. You just close. Just kidding.
Well, so that's a good point. So February, the 4th week, ends with the 2nd day of March, right?
Yeah.
So I mean,
Okay.
I would put all of the data into February, and then
Yeah, and then
start fresh with the first week in March.
Yeah, which is March 2nd or 3rd or whatever. And so whatever the first day in March that the month starts, that's when week 1 starts. And so.
That's not what I just said. You
No, I
I thought it was.
It's not exactly. No.
Week 4 of February ends next Friday, which is March 2nd, right?
And I think that should be the end of the week 4 in February.
Right.
The first week of March starts March 5th, which is the first Monday in March.
Right. I guess I thought that's what I said, but no. So.
No. See, Alan just shook his head.
Oh.
What do you have in the dish that you're eating there, Derek?
Haggis. So, okay, there was a request, Liz, you wanted to look at the dash. Can we do that? Do we have time? It's 9:39. This is scheduled to go, I think, until 10. So hopefully with another 10 or 15 minutes of looking at our systems, it'll be that much clearer. Teresa, you good to do that?
If nobody minds.
Well, I think it's helpful for everybody. I have mine booted up, I think. So let me share my screen, and I'm going to show you our trend report, but I'll back out of it. Or Teresa, do you want to run this?
And
No, I don't have anything up yet, so I'd rather not at this point.
Okay, Liz, what?
I was going to say on the spreadsheet, if of course, just under Vail, like, would it be okay if, like, next to a line item, say, whatever market share or PPP, that I put dash in parens, kind of as a reminder, like, this is from dash? Does anybody care?
Sure, just,
You can
yeah,
have,
I think.
just don't mess with the formulas or the, just don't script anything. But if you need a notation there that the PPP is the trend report from dash, fine.
Yeah, just don't Wingarder it.
Please don't.
No. Well,
So.
What? Hello?
Yeah, that's right. You're a verb now for messing with spreadsheet formula.
I'm a verb for messing up spreadsheets. That's awesome.
Yeah. Okay. Teresa, please jump in and let me know if I'm incorrect here, because I'm still sort of new at this. Okay, everybody, Dash lives in your CB Exchange, and you should all, as admins and OMs and MDs, have access to Dash when you log into CB Exchange. So come here, you're logged in, you go to your button, which of course is covered by my little window. You go to your springboard right here. Dash sits at the top left. So we go ahead and click on that. Okay, yeah, since I haven't been there in a little bit, so I'm going to log back in. Sorry. Okay, so I just want to make sure I was who I was. There's a lot of stuff here, and it's easy to go, whoa, where do I go? But what we do is we go to business intelligence, right? This is where we're getting our information. If you want to look at the stuff in OMs, I really encourage you, when you have nothing else to do, to come in here and figure out. You can't hurt anything. It's all hardwired stuff. Even Mark couldn't change stuff up. So come in here and figure out what this is telling you about your office. Okay. Company listings, we got 483. Doesn't sound right. Anyway, we're going to go to business intelligence. Then you get a pop-out window, daily dash. Wow, that sounds cool. Run a report. That's what we want to do. Correct, Teresa? Is run the report. Right? Yep. Okay, run a report. Now, the nice thing is Dash says, oh, you're in here again. Do you want to do the same thing you have been doing? And that makes it really easy. So recent reports. But if you haven't done that, what you want to run is a business management report. So I guess I'll go ahead and do that, just assuming that you don't have the recent reports in there. And then the trend report is the one we want. The trend report is 7 pages of every piece of information you'd ever want, and that's where we go and find our PPPs and stuff. So I'm going to run the trend report. Okay, I'm going to go. Thank you for telling me that. This is where I was a little confused, Teresa. Please unmute and let me know. We want all transaction as of is today, so we just want today, right? Include assignment production. Yes. What does that even mean, Teresa?
It just means it's production that's been assigned.
I mean, That just seems like weird. Like, so yes or no there?
You would say yes. When you're looking at it, you want to make sure that all the production that's in dash gets accounted for. If you need glossary, you can say yes, and it will define. It will actually run through what everything means. If you include glossary, who is that?
Mark.
Yeah,
Stuff's gonna speed up because of that one.
stop ripping paper up. Aggregate. So you don't need the glossary. That's just going to give you. Go ahead if you want, but it's just more stuff.
You might want it the
Aggregate.
first time, just because then you can, if you're not running this all the time, it helps to kind of go back and forth to understand what each of the columns mean or how they're getting to the data. So
It's like a key.
Yeah. So, and then aggregate data, yes. I would think, Teresa, and nothing we can do about it, it would default to yes and yes here. That just seems weird that you'd have to change that. Anyway, if you do this the first time, folks, then you can run the recent reports, and I don't think, well, maybe you do. I can't remember if you have to do this every time, but just yes, just go yes. Okay?
you do. The other thing that you can do, Derek, on this one, if you notice when on some of the reports, there's
Someone mute, please.
oops, sorry. There's a subscribe.
Right.
And so what you can do is you can subscribe to have this report generated automatically for you.
Oh, for real?
Yep.
Show.
That was on the previous page. You remember I clicked go, but there was a subscribe button. So maybe click that, OMs, and see if that works for you.
Yeah. Not every report has it. So, and I honestly, couldn't recall before you got there that whether or not this one did. But like if you want the production summary to come monthly, you can do that. There's several in here. You can set them up. Now just remember like the production summary is an aggregate. It doesn't give you like a month to month to month. It's going to give you the year. It's just going to keep aggregating, which is a downfall because I like the production summary report monthly. But so.
Okay. The last thing you have to do is you have to put your office in. Okay. So you click on it and it goes there. So that's the office you've selected. You have access to your own office. Okay. Unless you're T. All right. Then we're going to run report. Okay. And it's coming in as a PDF. So it's going to take a second to run. And the best thing to do is tap your desk while this is happening, like I've just done. Okay. And it comes out as a PDF. Fantastic. From January 2015 to February of 2018. So it gives us averages, historical. Now this is where it gets a little bit dicey because look at this, there's so much information. Dude, as my kid would say, dude. And we just need to parse through it and we need to find the places that we need to go to get the information we want. One of those places is right here, staffing, right in the very top, almost, is your staffing numbers, okay? Now, this is how you figure out your PPP. So for the remember on the graph, on the KPIs, we've got 2018 PPP. So far, we've got 2 months, and in Sun Valley, we've had 26 and 25 agents. So my average agent count is 25 and a half, okay? That's the number I'm gonna use when I'm figuring out my PPPs for 2018. When I'm figuring out my PPPs for the LTM, the last 12 months, I'm sorry about this, and I wish there was a way to have this automate, but you have to add up your last 12 months of agent count and then divide by 12 to get your average. Okay? So again, both of the PPPs, you have to figure it out by first getting an average so you know what your average agent count is for the calendar year as well as for the LTM. Teresa, yes? Excellent. Okay, then here's where I got confused at the outset. Oh, PPP, maybe it's right here. No, this is listings taken. RPP is figured, the company is figuring PPP, which is per person production, by the amount of business you do, not the amount of listings you take, not the amount of appointments you have, not the amount of cars in your garage. It is business that you have done, conducted, okay? This is all really interesting stuff, but it's not gonna help us for what we're after. So we are after our total sides. Total open sides, lots of information, adjusted gross commission, closed AGC PPP. Don't get confused by that PPP there either. Property management, other income, total revenue. We're going to keep going. Sales volume, company dollar, closed sides. This is where it starts to get good here for us. This is listings taken sides. So our listings, how many of our listings have we sold so far this year? 9. Settle down, Grand Junction. You guys aren't that cool. Listing, last year we sold 82 of our listings, okay? Still not what we want then, because this is buyers. So we've had 11 buyer sides. So we've had 20 sales so far in Sun Valley office this year, which is pretty good. Intra-company sides, that's if it's an in-house deal. Here's where our number is, though, everybody. Total closed sides. And I don't think there's any way for us to have, hey, say, Dash, hey, can you put this at the top right under our staffing so we can just get to it? But it's usually on the bottom of page 6, it looks like. So just no OMs and MDs. This is where you're finding your closed sides. For 2018, look at that. The math was right. We had 11 listings and 9 buyers or whatever. So 20 sides we've closed so far this year. I'm taking that number 20, and I'm going back up to my average of this year, staffing, which is 25.5, and I'll do my quick calculation on my phone. Oops, not Instagram. So I go 20 divided by 25.5 equals 0.78. So my PPP right now is 0.78. Now I would do this at the end of the month, so hopefully it'll be a little higher because we'll have sold a couple more things. Then I'm going to go back to my KPI and fill in for my PPP for the calendar year through February would be 0.78 or 0.8. Okay? I do think for PPPs you need 2 decimal points because it's a pretty specific number. Then I need to find out my LTM PPPs at the end of the month. So I'm going to go back down to my page 6. Total closed sides. Dude. And I'm going to add from March right here, or maybe a simpler way since it's early in the year is 166 minus 7 minus 6. So 153 plus 20 is 173. That's my last 12 months. So that's 173. I'm going to write that down. In the last 12 months, my office has closed 173. Then I'm going to go back up, and I'm going to do my last 12 months of agent count. I'm going to add March through February of 2018 and divide by 12. And it looks to me, if I just do my math real quick, that's going to be, let's say, 23. Okay? So can someone mute, please? So I'm taking 173 divided by 23 equals, and my PPP for my LTM is 7.5. Okay? And really, as awesome as all this information is, that's what I need out of Dash for the purposes of my KPI. Teresa and Todd, is that correct?
Yes.
Settle down.
Although, I mean, when you're running through your trend report on a monthly basis, it's a very good report to run through because it shows you a lot of good data.
Yeah, and here's what I've found, and it's just a function of programs and technologies. My Dash doesn't equal my MLS, and my MLS doesn't equal my RPR, even though they should. Right. So, but for the PPPs, we're using Dash. If your MLS says you've had 22 sales and your Dash says you've had 20, we're all using Dash so that we all have the same book that we're operating out of for that, okay? Alan, I know like all of your sales aren't always in it. Just use Dash. And that's going to give us the most accurate look company-wide at what we are trying to learn about our offices.
I have a question there on Dash. Just so you know, our MLS, when you approach the sale, it's instant. So on Dash, is there a lagging like 24 hours, 48 hours? I mean, I don't think that's instant, is it? How does that, when does that update? Like if you have a closed transaction, when does it update in Dash? It's not like instant, I'm sure.
It doesn't update. Okay, so Dash doesn't talk to your MLS. Dash only talks to IQ. So as soon as we have everything closed in IQ, which may be a day or two later than the MLS, depending on whether or not you've turned in all your paperwork, the closing's been approved, and that. So once that part's done, we close it in IQ. It transmits every 30 minutes to Dash. Okay.
Is that fast enough for you, Alan?
Is going to be whether or not you've got your stuff done. That's the
Yeah,
last.
I knew there was a lag time. I just didn't know how long that lag time was or where the information came from. Now you told me it's coming out of IQ.
It comes from, yeah, IQ is the only thing that talks to Dash.
Okay. Got it.
Okay, so I'm going to go back to our KPIs then and show us where this stuff goes. Okay, it's not in the goals because what we were doing is looking at actual information. So PPP and sides, that's for the calendar year of 2018. I should actually be in February right now. I know this is, so right now, what did I say, 0.78, and I'm not going to put it in here because this is Grand Junctions, but I would do this on March 1st or February 28th, whatever. I wouldn't do it right now because this is a monthly thing. So I wait till the end of the month and I go in and I run that report and I put that number in, 0.78. Then I do the other math of my LTMs and I ended up with, what was that number that I said? 7.5. Okay, and ideally each month this will get bigger and bigger because you do more sides. But the 12-month PPP, we want it to be growing, but you won't see the growth that you see in the calendar year PPP. Okay, all right. So there's all that. I'm not 100% sure that what this formula is going to look like. I guess it'll make some sense. When we get through the first quarter, I would say we should revisit this and just see if all these quarterly numbers here are dancing the way that they're supposed to, and if not, we make adjustments to it so that we're as accurate as possible. Today's the 23rd. On the 28th or on the 1st, OMs and MDs sit down and do these dash report things, okay? And then on our subsequent MD meeting, we will look at those and see that everybody got them and that they all look legit. Okay, but if we go back to what I think we need to do for today at some point, is this box here needs to be filled out for your office. And if you struggle with this, you can call me and we can see if we can't make some changes.
You can call me too, Derek. It's fine.
Oh, yay. Call Blondie. Call me.
Call me any.
Okay, what questions do we have about this overall production? This was a lot of, this is a lot of stuff. What I just got out of this is a lot, and I feel much better because I've tried to teach it to you. OM, you want to get better at this? Teach it to your MD. Not because they're going to retain it, but because when you teach it, you get better at it. Seriously. So maybe that, Lisa and Helen, sorry. Maybe that would be a way for us to all get better is to try to teach it to each other. So block out a half hour sometime. Liz, you teach it to Rick. Rick, you teach it to Liz. I guarantee you, I feel 100% better than I did yesterday about all of this. Okay.
Well, me and Carrie are sitting down on a regular basis to go through this, at least right now. Probably won't be that way forever, but, that way we've got to, we know that we're putting the same numbers in consistently, where they're coming from, and that's just going to make it a lot easier, on that front. It's probably a good thing for probably everybody to do some of these numbers together. The right-hand side column, anyway. The left-hand side, that's all MD, but the other side, it's a different story.
Right. So at Grand Junction and Bozeman, you might find value in doing this on a more weekly or bi-weekly basis than the resort markets where the sales are slower but way bigger. So it's totally up to you how you want to approach this. Daisha, we haven't heard from you. Do you have any thoughts or questions about this? I know you're pretty in tune with doing all this stuff. Are you feeling okay?
Nope. Yep. I think I've got it. I pulled up my dash report with you. So I think I've got it.
Okay. Excellent. So let's all stay committed. Looks like Todd's off this call. Let's all stay committed to what we talked about on Tuesday and not have to go back into why aren't we doing this? Why aren't we accurate? Why aren't we following through? Because really, our offices are doing well. We're doing well. We shouldn't feel like this is a whip. This should be a carrot for us to keep showing how good we're all doing from a recruiting as well as a production standpoint. And if we're not, hey, that's what we're all here for, right? Is to help each other figure out how to get those numbers where we want them. So let's all commit to doing a better job with this. Find that time for your OM and MD to sit down. And Alan, I know you said Lisa's really good at this, but I think it would be in all of the MD's best interest and the sales manager's best interest to sit and do these together and really figure out how this stuff works. Liz, you're going to have the opportunity to train a new MD on this. And so that's either exciting or scary, I'm not sure, but you will be the Vail expert at this. So, Teresa.
I think Rick's
it's
psyched about that
9:59.
because he's looking like he's in bed right now.
I am.
He's like, I don't want to do that.
Okay, it's 10 o'clock. Teresa, do you have any last things that we need to know? Don't want to let everybody off.
Nope. Just if you have any questions, problems, or run in the reports or understand, just you reach out to me, okay? Just make sure you call or text.
Okay.
Here
So
for
get those things done today if you can, the top boxes, the goals boxes, and then at the end of the month, do the next ones, and we'll start putting a little momentum into this procedure, okay?
you. Thanks,
Okay,
Keith.
everybody. Thanks a ton.
Awesome. Thanks, Derek.
Bye-bye.
Thanks, Derek. Bye.
Bye.